Welcome, everyone, to the Paranormal Pride. What? Oh, I thought you said live.
You are listening to WBHM Digital Broadcasting, Birmingham, Alabama.
Paranormal Pride. We will visit only with the best investigators, location owners, demonologists, researchers, inventors, authors, mediums, psychics, and enthusiasts. Anyone with a love or interest in the paranormal, the supernatural, or the unexplained will be meeting here on Mondays at 8 p.m., 7 Central. Welcome, everyone, to the Paranormal Pride. Tonight, my guest is Josh Hurd. This is our 3-year anniversary of the first time I interviewed him as well. So this is going to be very interesting. In fact, more than likely, I could walk out of the room and he could just take over and we would be done. But before we get started, I do want to say something to everyone out there that supported me through my illness. You know, things didn't go very well apparently during my surgery for my biopsy, and I ended up with a collapsed lung. So I want to say thank you to everyone who sent me prayers, sent me gifts, sent me encouragement, sent me anything, whether it was just a thought or a prayer. I am mostly grateful. I am so grateful to all of you for all the love and care that you guys showed me. I've never been that sick and that close to death in my life. So I want to thank you all for everything that you guys gave to me. I didn't know that I was loved this much. I mean, I knew I was loved by my family that much. I didn't know that I was loved by other people that much. So thank you guys so much. So, and I will be out and about at McPike Mansion on October 20th. We're going to be doing a memorial service for Jerome Minks, who passed away while I was sick as well. And so keep that in mind. So it's been a rough few weeks for our station as well with all the things going on. So you guys, thank you so much for all your support. So now we're going to get into some happy things and some fun things. So for those of you who don't know Josh Hurd, in the paranormal, we have people that are TV paranormal celebrities, and we have people that are regional paranormal celebrities, and then we have Josh Hurd. Okay. Josh has got books. He's got a haunted paranormal location that is one of the top paranormal locations in Iowa, if not Midwest or the country. And I can say that for a fact since I've been there and was scratched within a few minutes of being in there. And let's see, he's a documentary filmmaker for paranormal movies. Let's see. He helps out with video space, and you do live. Malvern Manor is live on Paranormal Warehouse. If you name something paranormal, he's involved. He also does a radio show called Ectoplasm, which is not just paranormal, but I believe that's how it started, wasn't it?
It was.
Now it's a little bit of everything.
Yes, it is. It's like the melting pot.
And if you have children, it is explicit, so make sure that you listen to it with headphones on. That is very important. So just keep that in mind.
Podcast for the office, yeah.
Yeah, it's a headphone podcast. That's or a drunken podcast that you listen to when you're with your friends.
Yeah. Yeah.
And sometimes it's just interesting to listen to the things that they come up with. So him and Jason are strange bedfellows. Is where I'm going to go with that. Not that they're sleeping together, but you know what I mean. So yeah. So you guys all out there know Josh and I have met each other many, many times. So this may go off the rails in a couple places. So keep that in mind.
It'll be fine.
Oh, it'll be fine. It always is fine. Because I do tend to keep it clean. Mostly.
Yeah.
So Josh lives in a small town in Iowa. And when I say small, if you sneeze while you're driving, you may pass it. And the town where Malvern is, it's basically the same. I knew about Malvern before you even purchased the location because of family. My husband's family is related to everybody in the area. And so we knew stories about the place that came out of the woodwork after we went there. So how did you, some of these people out there may already know this story, but how did you get involved with purchasing a haunted location? Were you looking to buy a haunted location, or did it just jump out and bite you?
I was not. Yeah, and that's what's so weird about this is like I've completely stopped believing in coincidence, right? So I was filming the first documentary film that I had ever done, and we were in Malvern and at this place called the Classic Cafe, and that has its own slew of like paranormal happenings, and they were nice enough to be like, yeah, come on over here, like bring the crew and all that stuff, and you can film. And I was like, oh, this is great. I didn't realize that, you know, there's a bar that's attached to it. So it was very, very loud. I think it was like a Friday night, maybe a Saturday night. So noise contamination, it was an absolute impossibility to investigate, let alone film. And so I went outside and I was trying to come up with like a plan B because, you know, everything was just kind of falling apart for the most part. And this guy was outside and he was like, hey dude, what's up with all the cameras? And I was like, awesome. Like this guy is going to think I am absolutely crazy. And so I told him what we were up to, and he was like, oh, that's really cool. And he's like, you know, I've got this place and, you know, some weird stuff happens every once in a while. He goes, you know, it's stuff that I can explain away for the most part. He goes, man, there's some things that happen in there that I don't even know what's going on. He goes, it's like 10,000 square feet. It used to be a hotel, and then it was a nursing home, and then it was more like a group home for mentally handicapped people. And I was like, oh my God, like, where is this place, dude? And he's like, oh, it's just right across the street. I was like, whoa, okay. So he was nice enough to then say, you know, why don't you just come on over and you can film your stuff in there. And, you know, that was basically when my love affair started with that building. All the things that we had experienced, the personal experiences from that night, it was absolutely mind-blowing. And I kind of took him aside after we were done filming everything. And this was just a couple weeks later. I was like, I don't really think you realize like what you have here, you know, like this place is phenomenal. And I offered then to open the place up, you know, to the paranormal community and, you know, run tours and invite in overnight guests and things like that to try to get as many experiences as we possibly could. And then try to start locking down all this history and all that stuff. And I mean, things went smooth. Like people would come, they would pay for the night, and I would run the cash right over to his house. And then one day he called me and he said he got a new job. And with the job, he had to move out of town, and he was putting his house up for sale. Obviously, he was going to be selling the manor as well. And I was like, okay, just hang on a second. So we were lucky enough to swoop in there and, you know, purchase the building to keep it doing what it was doing, you know? So it was very, very fortunate on my part.
Yeah. And I know that it was rocky in the beginning with some of the stuff that was going on, but eventually you got it down to a smaller ownership group.
Correct.
So,
Yeah. I mean, we've gone, you know, back and forth with different things and different owners and all of that stuff. Like, you know, I've been fortunate enough to remain constant in that. I guess, you know, like digging up all the history. And you know, Denise, like you're a big part of that. I remember like you and me texting back and forth and like, did you see this? Have you seen this article? Have you seen this article? I'm like, oh my God, like you were able to dig up so much stuff and it was amazing. And again, you know, we're always trying to put together the crossword puzzle, so to speak, right? Because the place is so big and the history is so immense because it's been so many different things throughout the years. I mean, it's just so much to tackle. It's fairly overwhelming, you know, and it's like, you know, recently, and I haven't been too vocal about this, but I can talk about it now. But, you know, there was one group of investigators that came in and they were shooting a documentary film, which is so cool. And they were instructed over the spirit box, which is so interesting to me anyway, but they were instructed to dig in the basement. Now we have two basements in Malvern Manor, and one of them is like more cement, and the other is the majority is just dirt, you know.
Right.
And in this very odd section of the building where you would never, I mean, only the bravest of the brave are going to go back into this area anyway, because you literally have to crawl. You don't even have enough room to roll onto your side. Like it's so tight. But being able to then cruise back in there and dig where the spirit box was specifically telling them to dig, they found 7 different bones in this one small little section. So obviously I had to like call the cops and they had to come and do an investigation and all this fun stuff. So they took the bones. DCI still has the bones, but it's still under investigation with DCI and all that fun stuff to determine whether or not these are human remains or otherwise. I don't know, but it's super fascinating. So it's very odd, like where they found the bones, because it was underneath the floorboards in what we call the lobby area of the manor.
So the older part of the building. Correct.
Yeah, like the original part of the house. And there's a very odd, and Denise, you probably know exactly the section of flooring I'm talking about, but over by like where we have the portraits of the captain hanging up, there is a section of floorboard right there that looks very oddly out of place. Like it just does not belong there. And it was directly underneath that where they found these bones, which is very curious to me. So it makes me wonder when this happened. You know, if this is in fact human remains that we're dealing with here, when did this happen? Who was this person? And I mean, if it does turn out to be human in nature, like I will use every resource available to me. We will have a service, like we will find out who this person is. We're going to have a service and all that stuff and give them the rest and the proper burial they absolutely deserve.
Well, there may be other bones. You know, they may come out
exactly
and have
what
to check
for
more.
Yeah.
Right. Because that's the first thing I would think.
Right. And that's kind of the part that kind of freaks me out the most, I guess, is they did say, you know, at this point in time, we cannot allow anybody into the basements. And I respect that. And everybody else that we've had come through the building absolutely respects that too, which is great. But they did say if they do come back to be human remains, they will have to shut the building down for probably a month.
To excavate.
So they can conduct a proper investigation of that entire place, which is just crazy to think about.
I bet you the state of Iowa wants to really spend that money.
Yeah, no kidding, right?
I mean, we got
they
one
never
way to
want to spend money.
We got one way to keep them away. We just come up, it'll snow. You know.
Yeah, there you go. Yeah, absolutely, every time.
Yeah, we're surprised.
Without fail.
Except for that one July one, then it ended up being 110.
Oh God, yeah.
Yeah, I know.